I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Dennis Kudla.
I'm Jesper de Jong.
I'm Henry Laakson.
I am Francisco Cerundolo,
and you are listening to the Game to Love podcast.
Good evening, tennis fans. Here we are. Another day of Monte Carlo action comes to a close, and we get the matchup we were all hoping for, and with an added twist. Lorenzo Musetti goes through with a double bagel victory over Luca Nardi, and he will face Novak Djokovic in round 3. And I cannot wait for this matchup, JG. How about you?
Well, we jumped straight on the podcast to discuss it. We was going to do a news video, but we thought this one is too important to miss. And we've got a lot of opinions on this matchup. So we thought we would give a preview of Djokovic versus Musetti and then speak about some of the other matches. So let's get straight into it and start off with the big one of Djokovic versus Musetti. And probably the best place to start is with the Italian, because he's been performing pretty well, right, Ben?
He's been performing, well, immaculately, we could say. His last 3 sets have all been bagels. He knocked out the finalist from Estoril in the first round. It was Miomir Kecmanovic, and he bageled him in the second set. Luca Nardi, the guy who we've been sort of talking about on here, saying, oh, he's sort of the next, like, Italian in line, sort of coming through. He's just won his first match at a Masters. Well, guess what? He just got double bageled by an in-form Lorenzo Musetti. And I think this is super exciting right now. The fact that he's playing in this sort of caliber of style of tennis in this tournament, Lorenzo Musetti might be back to that standard that when he broke on the scene, when he was winning those matches in Rome, I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago. He was hitting winners after winners against the likes of Wawrinka, Nishikori, people like that. He was wiping players off the court. And now we're going to see if he can emulate what he did in the first 2 sets against Novak Djokovic at Roland Garros 2 years ago.
I mean, I don't want to be harsh on Musetti, but he's been nothing short of dreadful this year.
Yeah.
He's hardly pulled together any kind of results of note. Out in the opening round of the Australian Open against Lloyd Harris. Played on the clay after that. Was terrible. Lost pretty much every match. Jarry, Varillas, Munar. Granted, they're good clay court players. They're top 50 players. But we was expecting a little bit more from Musetti, who is quite high in the rankings himself now. I think 21. And he's a young boy. He's still learning his trade. But I was expecting more from him. Marrakesh, he played last week, beat Gaston, and then lost to Muller. I know Muller had a really good event, and I think he won the whole thing, in fact, didn't he? Or did he lose the final, Muller? Sorry, yeah, he was winning the final and then lost to Kobe Espana in the final. But he still had a really good week. So you can kind of let Musetti off slightly with that one. But since then, Monaco, a Masters event, bigger than any of the other events he's played on the clay. And he beat Kecmanovic, who I think is a really good player, and Luca Nardi, who's also a good player. And look at the fashion he's been doing it in. So he's finding the form at the right time. Tragic start of the year, and he slowly started to improve this week, pretty much. And I'm actually quite optimistic that we're going to get a good match against Djokovic. Some people might call me delusional because the last 3 times they've played, Djokovic has won all 3 of them. But if we go back to the Roland Garros one, let me just get it up here because I believe that is the last one they played, right? No, sorry, that was the first one they played.
Yep.
On the clay. So the last time they played on clay, the last 2 were both on the hard courts. Musetti was very good in that one. I'm hoping we see something similar to Roland Garros. And I think the other thing Musetti has in his favour is the fact that Djokovic isn't coming into this one super hot. Against Gakov in the last round, he said himself he was sort of struggling through. It wasn't a perfect performance, but he got the job done. Very professional. Against Musetti, I think if he plays in that same way, he may not be as fortunate because Musetti has more tools than Gakov and he's playing a lot better right now. And he's already shown before, when Djokovic was playing quite well at Roland Garros in 2021, that he was able to take 2 sets off him. So I am very encouraged that we are going to get a close performance and a close match from Musetti. Whether or not he can beat him is another matter. I think that is always a step too far for him. Not necessarily technically, but definitely mentally.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you on that. I feel that the one thing no one can say that Lorenzo Musetti isn't talented, because when he puts his game together, if we got to see it and with the right mental edge, I feel he beats literally anybody on tour, and that is a compliment to him as a tennis player. His game is that good. That backhand is so devastating, and he is an attacking, offensive tennis player. He doesn't like hold back. When he knows he's playing well, he goes for it. And we saw it against Djokovic. He was playing well against Djokovic at Roland Garros. He won 2 sets in a row against him. And that's only because he is good on his day. And he's beaten very good players before. And those results in this
Before
tour.
Djokovic, though, before the match against Djokovic at Roland Garros, he was a really good player. Went into that match and we were really excited. He then took the first 2 sets and completely capitulated and ended up retiring.
Yeah.
Since that moment, in the rest of that year, I've got some stats here. He struggled mentally and he won 6 out of 21 matches to end the year. So something just completely happened. I know we said he snatched his soul. Is him playing Djokovic now again on the clay? Forget the 2 hard court ones. I didn't really give him a chance on them. But on the clay, he's definitely a bit closer. Is he now going to be able to get his soul back? And if he's able to beat Djokovic, does he then become favourite for Monte Carlo and a contender for Roland Garros? Does he then become the guy we saw before he lost at Roland Garros to Novak Djokovic? Will he just pick up from there? I mean, it's a massive match, so I'm really looking forward to it. We will be covering it, me and Ben, on the live watch-alongs tomorrow, so please join us for it. And I will stand by what I said at the start. I do think it's a big ask. I do think Djokovic will beat him. But I think we're going to see a closer match than maybe the ones we saw on the hard courts.
Yeah, I think that this is the perfect time for Musetti to redeem himself after that. I would call it a bit of an embarrassment, the way that he ended his match in Roland Garros that time. He's playing out of his skin right now. No better time to play Djokovic than at his worst Masters, some may call it. He's didn't look great against Gakov. He just got through it. And now he's coming up against somebody who's just hitting clean, playing well. I feel that there could be a set in this for sure for Musetti. I think if he comes out, starts firing, the crowd are going to get behind him and they're going to want to see a 3-setter. And I feel that then if Djokovic comes back, they may start favouring Djokovic as well. It's going to be an interesting one, but I still feel that Musetti's good for a set in this match.
Another thing on Musetti, at the end of the match against Luca Nardi, the 19-year-old from Italy, there was a bit of a weird moment where Musetti screamed at the top of his lungs after double bageling him. And I thought that was a little bit strange. There must be some kind of story going on behind the scenes for that to happen, in my opinion. I don't think it would happen in normal circumstances. You'd think you'd be quite supportive of someone from your country who's young, who's just trying to learn his trade, who's come through the qualifiers, just like Musetti used to. Yep. So I thought that was a tad strange. A lot of people were saying maybe it's the fact that he's not won back-to-back on clay for a very long time. He's not been able to pull together results. He's been playing really poorly. And for him, just to win 2 matches in a row was a big deal. And it was like a sense of relief and just getting rid of all the emotion. Other people are looking into it a lot further, saying that he's clearly trying to prove a point to this kid. And there's some things what have maybe been said behind closed doors. We'll never really know, but I'm open to you and your speculation because I know you love to make things up.
Yeah, well, for me, this I would see as him just being...
We want a conspiracy theory, Ben.
Well,
this is your moment.
For me, I reckon that the reason that he's done this is when you're getting so close to double bageling somebody, that is probably a really big moment. He must know that he is playing incredible tennis right now. To be able to do that to somebody who is actually, Nardi's been playing really well. He's coming in and he's another person probably looking to try and take Musetti's place as maybe a top Italian or the second best Italian behind Sinner, like that type of thing. And it's sort of a way of just exerting his dominance on like the youth coming up and just proving to himself, I'm in fantastic form right now. I got a double back. How many people can say they got a double bagel against somebody in a Masters event? Not many people.
Well, I'm glad you posed the question because we've got the tweet. Mr. Only tweeted out players who have got a double bagel at Monte Carlo. And you'll be surprised to know Rafael Nadal is not on there. We've got Guilherme, Vilas, Arthur Ashe, and Musetti here most recently. But there's only 5 names there. No Djokovic, no Nadal, and no Federer.
Wow. And, segue of the year, I think that one, without even knowing it. That's a good one, wasn't it? I didn't even realize. But that's incredible. He's on a very fine list there. And that might be the thing that he would be thinking about. It's a massive tournament. Monte Carlo has got to be something that he would be thinking at the back of his mind. I must do well here. I know I'm good enough to go deep in this tournament. And he just has to prove it. There is a chance, and people might call me crazy. There is a chance he can beat Novak Djokovic tomorrow. There is a definite chance. And in his mind, if he keeps his mental right and Djokovic has a bit of a wobble and he's not quite there like he was against Fokina last year, Musetti could beat him. And I think that Djokovic will probably know that coming onto court. And he needs to be fully focused tomorrow because it's not going to be an easy matchup. And I feel that the crowd after that result today are going to probably be hoping Musetti turns up and starts firing in the same way. I'm just worried, like you said, about is he going to get in his own head a little bit? That's the only thing that worries me a bit.
Yeah, and I think last year he did lose to Davidovich Fokina, but then he did have a good event. So he still took him all the way to 3 sets. I think this event suits him. He's definitely going to be a player we see do better results on the clay courts.
Yeah.
He's not really been able to transition into other surfaces like, say, Casper Ruud or Carlos Alcaraz has been able to do. But there's plenty of time for that to happen. And I think it's harder to master the clay. So he's doing a good job right now. But let's give our prediction on this match before we move on to some other ones. My one, I've already kind of said it. It is going to be Novak Djokovic to win, but in 3 sets. I think Musetti will take the opening set in a tiebreak.
Yeah, I think I'll join you with that. And I think I'll go with the same thing. But I'm going to go for something a little bit more crazy. I think that he will be... No, it won't be a
4
bagel.
bagels in a row.
I don't think it'll be a bagel. I think he takes the first set 6-3, something like that. And then I think the second set, he'll be up a break. And then Djokovic will break him down. And then Djokovic will come back. Djokovic will take the second set. And then the third set, it'll be like a 1 break for a set. And that's how I see this match going. Once he's broken him down mentally, Djokovic will take over. Prove me wrong, Lorenzo. That's all I can say. I'm hoping for a fierce battle. We will be covering it on the channel, so make sure you join us for it. I can't wait for it. It's one of the most anticipated matches. I didn't expect to be this up for it, but considering how well Musetti's been playing, it's really, really got the fire burning inside this one.
Well, he's a player we both like, and it is happening early in the Masters event, but there's some kind of excitement about this match, I would agree. And that's why we're here doing a podcast on it. We've got the Compliment King in 10, Arthur Ashe in 75, classic year, great human. Thanks for joining, mate. And yeah, certainly in there with some big, iconic legends of the game. We've got David in. How are we doing, David? Saying Musetti has the capability to beat these top players on clay. Alcaraz at Hamburg, Nole and Tsitsipas almost at Roland Garros. I think Nole has his work cut out for him. We've just been speaking about it, David. I think this is going to be an exciting one. Musetti, someone who I predicted to be in my top 10 come the end of the year. And, if he can go and beat Djokovic, he's on his way to maybe get into top 10 because I think then he would be favourite for Monte Carlo if he can beat Djokovic here. And I put him in a contention to go far at Roland Garros, potentially, if he has a nice draw.
do you know the thing that I think he'll want more than anything? And
A lot of points out there for him.
I know that beating Djokovic will be a feather in the cap, but I feel that he would love to beat Yannick Sinner here. That if he can get that clash and he beats the number one Italian in this tournament, and it's sort of like it's a sort of a mind game. I'm the number one Italian on clay type thing. If he could do that, go deep in the tournament, maybe even go to the final, who knows? We're talking a lot of ifs and buts. Got to get past Djokovic first.
Yeah, and Opta Ace put out a great tweet about Sinner, saying that he now has 22 match wins so far this year after beating Diego Schwartzman today. And you can see there by the graphic, only Daniel Medvedev has more with 29 wins. Norrie with 21, if you go down. And Taylor Fritz 20 and Alcaraz 18. So Sinner is someone who's performing extremely well, and he played very well today against Schwartzman. Beat him in straight sets. I think Schwartzman retired, didn't he?
Schwartzman did.
Yeah, he retired down a break.
He's not been having a good time of it of late, has Diego, unfortunately.
No, rough year for him, really rough. And I think it shows the fact that I don't pick him in any brackets anymore.
Yeah, rough year for him. Also rough, unfortunately, for Francisco Cerundolo, and another Argentinian did unfortunately go out, but at the hands of another Italian as well. It was Matteo Berrettini, and saying after blowing a 5-love lead in the first set, Berrettini comes from a set down and defeats Francisco Cerundolo, and he moves into round 3. I think this could be a pivotal moment for Matteo Berrettini, because Cerundolo, a very, very good clay court player. I actually fancied him to beat Berrettini, if I'm perfectly honest, in this one. And him to come back and actually win this one, very, very impressive. I think you had him going a little bit further in your bracket.
I believed in Berrettini. I think he's going to do well this Monte Carlo. And I think hopefully we see some better performances from him, because he's not been that reliable, not played enough tennis, too injury prone. But hopefully we get to see more of him. Thanks for the super chat from Mamadou Tiam in the live chat. And Sinner's beaten Alcaraz on all 3 surfaces so far. It's a good stat, that one.
Yes, indeed. The only person to have done so. So
it's actually really impressive, really, when you think about it.
I feel that they are only going to keep playing on all those surfaces throughout their career. We're going to see maybe, I don't know, 60 matches, 70. Who knows how many times those two will play? I feel it's going to be like another like Rafa Djokovic style epic thing. So let's go to somebody else that obviously doesn't like the clay, apparently, but seems to be getting a lot better on it. And that was obviously this guy, Daniel Medvedev. Sort of made it look easy, I feel, today. A really, really comfortable victory against Lorenzo Sonego. I think that he's not moaning so much, is he, Daniel Medvedev on the clay? I thought he looked really good. I thought his movement, I feel that he's sort of adapting a little bit more to the slow play of the clay. And his backhand looked great today. The way he's whipping it and moving Sonego around, I feel like it's only a matter of time before he calls himself a clay court player, surely.
Well, Sonego's a tough player to play on clay.
Yeah.
So he's done a good job there. And I think we may see Medvedev surprise some people. I said it last year and I was wrong on the clay, but he's definitely got the game. It's a mental thing. Once he starts being a little bit more at peace with the clay and not attacking it so much, I think he'll be all right. He was saying today about how he finds it a lot easier to slide on a hard court than on the clay.
Interesting. But that's just like he's just what he's used to. I feel that he started to show signs today when he's not moaning and he's just playing his tennis. He was hitting clean winners. It was more the strategy that impressed me with his tennis today, that he was moving Sonego around so well, and Sonego couldn't really guess what was coming next. He seemed to just flick it back behind him a lot and that type of shot. And I thought Sonego played quite well, but unfortunately, you're playing against somebody who's only lost 3 matches this whole year. So
he's won 30 matches as well, more than anyone. It's his first victory on clay since ATP Masters in Madrid. Can he win the whole thing? He's next up is Sasha Zverev. I know you put out a good tweet earlier, Ben, talking
See if
about
I
them
can
two.
find it.
Good rivalry.
Yeah.
And how do you see that one going? Because I think that's a bit of a blockbuster match.
Yeah, it really is. Just because they played each other 13 times before, these two, and Medvedev leading the head-to-head 7-6, but it will be their first meeting on the clay courts, as you can see here. And the last time they played was actually was fourth round, and you can see there 7-6. I mean, these two, they're very similar statures, very similar like build. It's interesting that they sort of mirror each other. Apart from Zverev, a lot more accomplished on the clay, I would say.
Well, last year, the way he was playing at Roland Garros, you'd think that version of Zverev cleans the floor with Medvedev.
Yeah, Zverev looked great today as well against Agut. I thought he was playing some fantastic. Some of the winners off the backhand. That's the one thing I've really missed. Like when we were watching him last year when he was playing Rafa before the injury, I was thinking that backhand was just so lethal. It really caused problems for everybody. Today was the same. Agut couldn't even get close to it. There was just winners
Sasha's
flying
a
off.
seriously good player because he can play on every surface. Like he's a top 5 clay court player.
Yeah,
some people will be surprised by me saying that, but I generally think he's so good on the clay, moves well. It
top
just
4.
seems to be very he's a top player on the clay, definitely, and can do some damage. Another one who can do some damage, maybe Casper Ruud. He managed to get through today, beating Van der Zandschulp.
Yeah,
of course, Casper Ruud's in a good bit of form. He just won an event last week, and he got to Roland Garros final last year. So let's not dismiss him. And the other names to mention, Dominic Thiem lost to Holger Rune. That was straight sets, but Thiem has come out and said how he's feeling a lot more confident in his wrist, and he feels that he's able to hit the ball like he used to. So I think it's a matter of time until we see Thiem getting to a more concrete level. There's no hardship in losing to Holger Rune, and it was pretty close in the second set. So I think we give Thiem some more time.
I disagree.
No, I think you're being nasty on him. I think you're a bit harsh on Thiem. I actually think he's going to surprise people at Roland Garros this year, and we could look at him go to like a quarter final.
I disagree. I feel that he got bullied on the court today. That's my personal opinion. He was at the back of the court. Holger Rune was the much more powerful player. I mean, we're used to seeing Dominic Thiem more be aggressive on hard courts, I would say, but the backhand wasn't really firing as much. And Holger Rune was just playing so deep on the court. He was hitting the ball so close to the baseline.
Ben, he always does that.
Yeah, but it was such a problem.
Prime Dominic Thiem hit the ball far from the baseline like that as well.
No, but I mean that Holger Rune was keeping him pinned to the baseline all the time.
Yeah, because it's a young, fit Holger Rune is playing the best tennis of his career. Dominic Thiem is on the comeback trail and trying to get back up to a good level. He's only just felt some confidence in his wrist and able to hit the ball hard. I am very encouraged by the performance. I think you're being super negative on Dominic Thiem.
I'm not negative.
I think that you're underplaying what he was able to do against a really top player in Holger Rune. And I know the scoreline doesn't look great for him, but I think there was more to the match than the score. And on that basis, I'm predicting Dominic Thiem to do quite well at Roland Garros. Quarterfinals, here he comes.
Needs a good draw.
If he gets the draw, I will be picking him. We've got David semi-agreeing with me, saying Thiem played well versus Rune.
I don't think he played badly. I just feel that
it was
definitely the wrong.
You said he disappointed
opponent.
You today, the way he played.
No, I said he got bullied. It just looked like he was never in the driving seat in the rallies. He was always playing defense. So if that's how he wants to play as Roland Garros, playing defense for the whole tournament against more powerful players, fair. If you can win it like that, go for it. But I don't think you will. I think people like an Alcaraz would dismantle him. Feel like Holger Rune dismantled him. Feel Rafa would dismantle him. Djokovic would dismantle. Medvedev would dismantle. I can go down the list of players I think that would dismantle Dominic Thiem right now. So
Clay
possible, yeah. I feel that he's growing. You
wouldn't
have said that years ago. That's the thing. Thiem versus Medvedev. You wouldn't have said Medvedev to Klaverdev to knock out Dominic Thiem at Roland Garros. I'm going to be going for it. If it comes up, put my money on Medi.
Right, let's wrap it up. But I have 2 tweets left. Relevant Tennis tweeted out the last 16 in Monte Carlo. And this is who we've got. We've got the world number 1. We've got Russia's top 3. We've got Italy's top 3. Germany's number 1. And live number 2. Norway's number 1. Poland's number 1. Denmark's number 1. USA's number 1. Czech Republic's number 1. Chile's number 1. And Latin American race number 1.
Ooh.
And Greece is number 1. It's all the number 1s. It's all the top players left. Isn't this what we want to see, Ben, from a draw?
Yeah.
The only sad thing here is there's no Spanish flag and there's no GB flag.
Yeah, sad.
Where's
isn't it?
Draper? Who is our number 1? Norrie. Where's Norrie?
He isn't. I don't know where he is. Where
No
is
Norrie
where,
or Nadal.
Where? Yeah, the Nottingham Nadal nor the real Nadal are not there, and no Alcaraz as well. Obviously, sad not to see either of those in. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we've got Barcelona, Madrid. They're the ones that are going to be coming up next. We have to wait and see who is going to be playing those
Rafa
ones.
won't be playing Barca.
Doesn't look likely at the moment, but we'll have to wait to hear the official announcements to see if it comes out.
No, it won't be. I spoke to his doctor earlier. 90% chance Rafa won't be playing, unfortunately, Ben.
Is that John Sill?
Rafa's doctor gave me a call while I was at work and he said 90% chance he will not be playing.
Is that Uncle
Very
Tony?
And the last tweet I want to bring up before we wrap it up, and that is the results. The fixtures for tomorrow. So Tennis TV tweeted them out, and we can just quickly go through some of them.
There we go.
So we have Djokovic, Musetti. I think we spoke about that one a lot. We've both gone for Djokovic. Hurkacz, Sinner, Ben. Who are you going for?
Sinner.
Me too. Medvedev, Zverev.
That's really tough. I'm going Medvedev.
Me too. Berrettini, Runa. Berrettini. Rublev, Hachanov. Hachanov. Struff, Rude.
Struff we should have spoken about as well. Did well to come through as an underdog win earlier today. He beat Dimanor, didn't he, in straight sets? Very good. But I think he goes out. Casper Ruud looks, well, he's back at home, isn't he? It looks great on the clay.
Yep, I agree. I'm going to go Ruud too. Fritz, Lehechka.
I
think
it's
Fritz,
tough one,
maybe.
That's one of the toughest ones for me.
And Jari Tsitsipas.
It's weird, but I feel that's a really tough match. Jari looks really good, but I've got to go Tsitsipas. I've got him winning the tournament, so I'm hoping that he's just able to return that big serve. As long as he's able to return the serve, he's all good.
Yep, I'd agree with you. But let's wrap it up there. Please join us tomorrow for Musetti versus Djokovic. We'll try and cover Medvedev, Zverev too. It's going to be a big day on GTL. Don't miss it. Monte Carlo action, one of our favorite events of the year. We're going to be doing what we can. And if you enjoyed this preview/podcast, give us the thumbs up, give us a like, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you tomorrow for more tennis action.
Come on.
See you then. Vamos.